this?
It's like we've been doing this for 50
I
episodes.
know. We've almost done this for a year. What are we doing?
You can do it, put a pack into it. I can do it, put our cast into it. You can do it, put a pack into it. I can do it, put our cast into it. Put a pack into it, put our cast into it. Tick, tick, boom, hear thee banging out these Smith meats. Bumping brewed yeast 50 episodes deep. Life starts at 40, we the paragon. Pluck the inventory of our paper that we spec on.
Oh my god, I know it, but I can't. That was way better than I thought it would be.
Because I was warning you ahead of time. I was like, this is going to be awful.
Yeah.
I'm going to be terrible at this.
Oh, geez. You can do it, put your ass into it.
Yeah, you got
could do
kind
of. Shit! Why don't I know? And I'm just killing time. I'll take it. What was it?
Ice Cube.
Damn it! I knew it.
Put your back into it, or whatever.
That's classic.
Yeah,
classic.
It's actually from our listener Nate. Nate's getting a lot of shout outs.
Yeah,
lately.
no, he's been very active,
yeah,
which has been awesome.
He's given you a couple song requests. I have this, but he did this one special because it's our 50th episode.
What?
Welcome to CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I'm Adam Smith,
and I am tired Lowry Smith.
Don't worry.
We're cousins.
Yeah, and while Larry says
2
tired,
o'clock, 2 a.m.
It's 2 a.m. that
we
we're
got
starting
some games in today.
Yeah, so we got some sweet games in. We both got our new Commander Spotlight decks.
Yep,
We got
I got to play Nikya.
Fuck that deck.
It was awesome.
Oh man, fuck that deck. That deck went
and then
crazy.
You played Teysa.
Teysa, which we will be discussing today.
We'll get to that first. So we'll do the
first?
Spotlight. Yeah, we'll do the Spotlight first. It's weird if we're talking about a deck that they don't know about.
I guess that's not how I had it on the list. I had gameplay first because we always like to talk about stuff.
Well, it's better
things.
to start as a discussion, but nobody's going to know what you're talking about.
All right, fine. So, today's episode. Oh, wait. You know what? You can follow us on Twitter.
At CommanderSmiths.
And you can shoot us emails.
At CommanderSmiths. On Gmail.
Yeah, I should have said that part. And then you also can subscribe, like, and stuff on YouTube.
At CommanderSmiths.
And that video from last week, our battle boxes, is actually up and running. We got some... Well, we can kind of spoil it now, right?
Sure.
Larry took a cement mixer because he sucks and he loses at that.
I'm so bad at opening boxes. It's so freaking frustrating.
It's not even like a skill. But
yeah.
Even when it gets assigned to whoever our names are on the box, you still got your ass kicked.
It's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah. So, but the problem is he was supposed to, and I didn't know. We both have never taken a cement mixer.
Yeah.
And my wife, I showed her the video, and she's laughing, and she's like, he did it wrong. He's supposed to swish it around.
It still wasn't amazing. Yeah, I will tell you that. But it's probably the best way to do a cement mixer.
Because we did that wrong, we aren't taking it off the list. So it's still going to stay on our list for the next battle boxes and any other requests that come in. We'll add those as well. So
essentially, if you're going to send in requests for us to take a shot or a drink or whatever.
Tell us how to do it.
Tell us how to do it. Also, remember that it's going to be me doing it, so just be a little nice. Because at this point, I freaking suck at this box opening thing.
But our value ended up, we both spent $103 on the box, because then we bought it from
the
Phoenix Games. Yeah, so we got the buy a box promo, and we did that because we got it a week early. Unlike we normally order it from eBay, and we get it the day of or a day after. And we thought it was worth spending the extra $10-15 and getting the video out.
Supporting a brick and mortar store. We get the video out a little bit earlier. Yeah. There's a lot of bonuses for that. So
spending $103, you made how much?
Value wise, I think I came out at $150 at opening. I'm sure
mine was $100
dropping like crazy,
70-ish, and some cards of ours have gone crazy, like that the Mythic jellyfish. Yeah, that thing is going nuts, but it's awesome.
Get that.
Yeah, I got that bad boy. Anyways, today's episode. Oh, you guys, like I said, you can check that out. We'll probably link that on this episode as well, just in case you guys didn't see that video. It's pretty good. He still did not enjoy it, and actually, after he took the shot, for about an hour later, he's like, "Man, that shot is not sitting good."
A deep down rubbling in my tummy. I was just
it's like mixing and turning into a solid.
It was scary.
So we'll be doing Commander Spotlight Teysa today. We'll talk a little gameplay. Then also we're going to discuss
Mythic Edition. That just kind of started selling it on Thursday this week.
So we're going to kind of
the 24th?
24th, yeah, I think is what it was. So we'll kind of go through what we did with
January
that
24th.
on the discussion that went back and forth with us, and then we'll kind of finish with Smith Specs of the Week.
Yeah, and that'll kind of be mixed up in there. So
should we just jump right into it?
let's get into Teysa.
A spotlight deck.
Teysa. So I'll start handing you cards, but Teysa, do you want to read it?
Sure. Teysa Karlov is 2 colorless, a white and a black for a 2/4. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink, which relevant.
Actually is very relevant in one of the games that we were playing. So Teysa, I know I kind of mentioned it last week. I was like, I'm going to go a completely different route than everybody else. Blah, 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 blah. My idea originally was to it was going to be Teysa, what was it, Alt-Win? Queen of
alternate wins.
Yeah, so I was going to have like 3 or 4 different ways of the alt-wins, where it's like
Test of Endurance and
Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat!
Get over here. Okay.
Since you said it, I'll come over there.
All right. Just say please.
So, yeah, I was adding all of those in, but then when it came down to it, and even Lowry had to help me with the last, 9 cards to cut, and he was just like, it just doesn't make sense. I didn't have a lot of life gain in it.
Yeah, because you had the cat from Zendikar in there, and I was like, maybe the tokens. I didn't actually think about that part, but... I mean, was it relevant?
No.
Would it have even come close?
No, because I fucking died in the 2 games I played against you. But
you deserved it.
We'll get to that. But the other part with Mortal Kombat, and I realized, I already had said it before I gave him the cards, I was like, I kind of think Mortal Kombat's out, because Mortal Kombat works when you're milling yourself.
It's a lot more efficient that way. So Mortal Kombat will win you the game if you have 20 or more creatures in your graveyard.
Because if you don't do it that way, then you're kind of thinking 20 turns, or you have a good ramp with drawing cards and everything like that.
Yeah.
That's the only way that you're really getting 20 creatures into your graveyard.
And the other problem that you had there was you had a lot of reanimation stuff, so that you were going to get those triggers over, and so it was going to work with Mortal Kombat. And so it was just kind of like start axing the alt-win cons.
Yeah. So this might have changed into what a lot of other people are doing. I have no idea. I haven't looked at any other deck lists. I did not check anybody else's.
Honor?
Yeah. I wasn't in Scouts. We discussed this last week.
Yeah.
Remember when you were talking about the pink and the stink?
I don't remember it. No, I did not discuss as you did.
No, and you're like, yeah, that would be me, not me, because I didn't get any when I was a little kid. Well, of course you didn't. Okay, never mind.
That's not what I sound like.
All right, so the idea is I kind of went into part making tokens. It's probably what everybody fucking did too, but making tokens and then sacking them. But how I like to, the game that I did win tonight, I like to win one turn and the game is over. And that's pretty much what I did. And I had combos going, but we'll start off with the token generator stuff.
You have Pawn of Ulamog and Sifter of Souls, and they both are creatures that whenever you have a creature die, you get to put an Eldrazi token into play, either a 1/1 or a 0/1.
Which you can sacrifice, sacrifice to give you mana.
Colorless land, yeah. So they're pretty much one and the same. And you liked it?
No, I actually never got those out.
Never saw it?
Yep, never saw those guys.
Another one would be Hollowed
Didn't see
Spirit
this
Keeper.
one either. But all these ones are pretty much this whole group. Now, this one I got this on the last game.
Hangerback Walker, which when it comes into play, you put, it's XX, and it comes into play with 1/1 counters on it, and if it dies, you get to put that many 1/1 flying.
So when you have Teysa out with all of these, when they die or whatever, you're doubling everything. So I only had 2 counters on them. I got 4 1/1 flyers that had flying, vigilance, and lifelink, which is... I want to spoil stuff, but that's why Lowry killed me, because I had 4 1/1s flying at him, hitting him, and he was really low on life and had about 30 freaking huge creatures. And like, well, Adam, I'm just going to attack you for 58 damage. What the fuck? There's 5 of us on the board.
Again, that's not what I sound like.
No, I know. It changes every time.
Yeah. And so, like, another card that does that is Seraph of the Scales, which is a new mythic that
actually is pretty damn good. I like that card quite a bit.
Now, we didn't talk about it because we didn't think it was going to be very good.
Yeah, we both were like, we're purposely skipping this because I don't think it's good for Commander.
Mythic. Like when it dies, it has Afterlife 2, but with Teysa out,
That you get 4 of those. I mean, the vigilance and the death touch is kind of nice because it kind of stops people from coming after you. I mean, when I played it in one of our games, Teysa was about to come out, and Lara's like, "Nope, fuck that, kill her before you get 4."
Yeah, I had 3 counters on my walking ballista. I should have just let it hit me, honestly, but I just killed it so that he wouldn't get the 4 1/1 flyers. He just got 2, and then I think it was good though. It makes you just go with Teysa. You're like, I got to get rid of
that.
This.
Afterlife is pretty nasty. I like it a lot.
It's really good.
But you don't have to read them all. But was there any other Afterlife? This one actually ended up being pretty good.
So Elenda the Dusk Rose, which this is from Rivals of Ixalan.
The reason why it jumped is because of Teysa.
Yeah, absolutely. And this went up to what, $15-$20 at this point.
Yeah.
Whenever another, it's a 1/1 lifelinker for 4, which is black, white, 2 colorless. Whenever another creature dies, put a 1/1 counter on Elend. When Elend dies, create X 1/1 white vampire tokens with lifelink, where X is its Elend's power.
So it has a double effect because when it's getting counters from stuff, anybody's creatures dying, you're getting 2 counters if you have Teysa out, and then when it dies, you're getting double those counters. So it's a double effect.
It seems like a really good card. And then Anointed Possession, which is an enchantment that doubles all tokens. And then Divine Visitation, which is a card I love.
Which is how I won the game, the only game I won.
And that turns any tokens into 4/4 flying angels with vigilance.
So how that worked in the game, and we'll get to that game later, but I was able to, I all-out attacked. My creatures died, but I had those other token generators. Actually, I did play those, but it wasn't in the game with you. Mm-hmm. And they were making the Eldrazi Scions.
Oh, okay.
And so they were making 2 of them, and they were making 4/4s, and I had 2 creatures that were... And so I made, I think it totaled out to 14 4/4 flyers.
That's dirty.
Yeah, it was pretty freaking insane. So then you kind of get into some unique ones that when you sacrifice them. So I wanted to have a lot of interesting stuff that when you sack them had cool things that happened. So these are, I think, 4 creatures that did some
so
cool
you have
stuff.
like Blood Artist and Zulaport Cutthroat.
Which you have in any kind of sacrifice deck because that gets you life, does damage around the board. And with it doubling, because that's also doubling the damage, it can really hurt somebody.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Wormcoil Engine.
Yeah.
Which is it's a 6/6 lifelink death touch, and whenever it dies, you get to create a 3/3 death touch and a 3/3 lifelink.
So you get
token.
2 of those each.
That seems good.
Yeah. Didn't get to use that one, but I think that one's gonna be fun.
And then Kukusho, the Evening Star.
Oh, I want to use this one so bad.
Whenever it dies, each opponent loses 5 life, and you gain as much life that was lost. So if there's 2 players in play, they each lose 5, and you gain 10,
and
which would double with Teysa.
Yeah, so it's 10 and 10. Yeah. So then some other things I have. These are my draw engine stuff, but they deal with sacrificing. You don't like this first one.
I don't like this card.
Every time I try, I put it in decks, and you're like, hey, just take this one out. I'm like, no, I like it.
Smothering Abomination, which is a 4/3 flyer for 4, and then whenever at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature, and whenever you sacrifice a creature, draw a card.
So the reason why I like that one is a lot of times when you have the sacrifice stuff, it says non-token, and I like that one's just saying whenever you sacrifice a creature. So you can sacrifice those Eldrazi Scion stuff, and you're still drawing off of that.
Sure.
The part that I'm guessing you don't like is that it's making you sacrifice a creature at the beginning of your turn.
Yeah, I definitely don't like that part where...
But the worst case scenario that happens is you sacrifice itself and you draw a card off of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a 4/3.
I feel like if you don't have any creatures and you have to sacrifice that...
But that's not how this deck is built. You know, it's built to have all these tokens out and to be able to do all that. So I feel like it fits perfect. But like these, I think there are non-tokens or...
Non-tokens, yeah. Grim Harrisbucks, I butchered that. I hope you're not a vegan. So, Midnight Reaper, if you have a non-token creature go into your graveyard, you're drawing a card off of them.
Yeah. So those, they're nice. It's not having you sacrifice and all that. It's not doing what the Abomination does, but it has to be a non-token, which is kind of the downfall of it, but they're good. They're still really good cards, and those are pretty much the draw engines of the deck. I think I have one more.
Because all of your tokens are coming from creatures.
Yeah.
Like permanent creatures that aren't tokens. So I
Pretty
think that's-
much. I have Bitter Blossom, which I'm not having you discuss.
Yeah.
I do have Bitter Blossom in here. That's probably one of the very few that I don't have.
It's not like you have like spells that create tokens or anything.
Correct. So this one actually I had on my list, but Adam number 2 had mentioned it to us in an email, and this is actually pretty sweet.
Athreos, God of Passage. It's the black-white god from Theros block.
You don't have to do it.
Whenever another creature you own dies, return it to your hand, or target opponent pays 3 life.
Pretty much, I think anybody that's playing this deck
Just gonna let it go back.
has
to
this card though in the
absolutely.
deck, because it's not doing just 3. You're doing 6.
They
life.
gotta it's gonna double because it's a death trigger.
Yeah. So your creature dies. You go, hey, you want to pay 6 life, or this goes back to my hand?
They're gonna say,
sure.
I'm gonna pay 3 and let it go back to your
Yeah.
because they gotta make the choice twice. Don't do that.
So then one other card that we had already kind of discussed in our specs and everything. Both of these cards are
black market. Whenever a creature dies, you put a market
counter
on it, and for each during your main phase, you get that much black mana for as many creatures that have died. This I'm sure can get a lot of mana.
Yeah. And then Lifeline, you're sacking your own stuff, and if there's creatures on the board, they just come right back on.
Yeah, and if you have control of that can get pretty dirty.
So then I had only a couple. So that's I think
the second time I said dirty. I'm sorry.
So I have one here with the draw engine, but then I also, these are my only really destroy artifact enchantment stuff.
Sure, you have.
Oh yeah, sorry. The proxy I had to make, the printer actually kaputted on me, so it looks shitty for reading actually.
So the first one's Reliquary Monk. Whenever it dies, destroy target artifact or enchantment, and Absolver Thrall,
which is pretty
that
sweet.
seems really cool.
Yeah. So it has an enter the battlefield trigger, so it destroys target artifact, or is enchantment? It's enchantment.
Target enchantment.
Okay, so it's just enchantment, which kind of stinks, but then it has haunt. So whenever the creature that it's haunting dies, you also get to destroy an enchantment.
Which would double with Teysa.
Yeah, so it's almost like you have a triple trigger if you have Teysa out. So you play it, you get to do its ability, and then when it dies, you're sacrificing it, with whatever sacrifice engines you have. But then you put it on another creature that you're now sacrificing, and then boom, boom, boom.
You can definitely get rid of a lot of enchantments that way.
Yeah.
And then there's Solemn Simulacrum, Sad Robot, which will draw you 2 cards. It's Solemn.
And then this is pretty much my... You don't have to read them all. You can just hit up the main ones that you feel.
Yeah, a lot of
these are my
are...
sack outlets, because I had to have a way to actually get rid of these guys. I think Yehenni is one we want to hit for sure.
Yehenni, Undying Parisan. It's a 3 mana, 2/2 haste. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a 1/1 counter on Yehenni.
So it would get 2 counters.
Yeah, that's true. And then sacrifice another creature. Yehenni gains indestructible until end of turn.
So it doesn't matter how many times you do it. You can sacrifice your whole board to give him indestructible and keep giving him that. So it doesn't.
True.
You don't have to. You can't. It doesn't mean you just sacrifice it once it's indestructible. You can't do it again. You can just keep doing it over.
And I'm assuming you want to do that with like Grave Pact on board. Or,
when you have, or the other guys were Blood Artist or something like that, where you're wanting to sacrifice to kill somebody or whatever.
Razaketh. I like Teysa Orzhov's sign.
That actually was part of the game winning there too.
Attrition, I think, is a great card in here. I'll let you talk about Sadistic Hypnotist as a sacrifice outlet.
So I was hesitant to put this in there because I feel like it's a
Super
really
mean.
dick move.
It's an awesome card.
The downfall of it is you only can do it on your turn because it's a source. You have to do it like a sorcery.
So it's sacrifice a creature, target player
discards 2 cards. So if I have a bunch of shit that I want to sack, I cast him, and it's not a tap ability.
Yeah,
it's just sacking it.
Sack. Get rid of everybody's hand.
And you're just... The nice thing is I don't have to do it when it's on your turn, so that's a good thing. It's not instant ability or whatever. Yeah. Didn't get to use that one, but the other Teysa...
Orzhov Scion.
Yeah, that one was badass in this because I was able to... That's how I was able to get through and actually win the game.
Does
that I
that
did.
work with the black and white spirits then? Does that... So, Teysa...
Yeah, if they're a black and white
Orzhov
spirit,
Scion,
they'll flip over one. It'll make
sacrifice 3 white creatures, remove target creature from the game. Whenever another black creature you control is put into a graveyard from play, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with. So if you sacrifice 3
The
of the
afterlife.
black, the afterlife ones, then
Then
you get 3 more, and then you can do it again.
Yeah.
But you actually get
No, you
whenever
get
another black creature you control is put
So
into
you
a
get
graveyard, which
6.
is so you'd get 6 with Teysa in play.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking crazy. It was crazy how the whole turn worked out. I'm actually excited once we get to that part of the
When we're talking about
we're actually talking about the plays, and I'm excited to talk about your stuff too because you're
doubt it.
freaking.
So Butcher of Malakir, this is a Grave Pact effect. Whenever you have a creature die, everybody sacrifices a creature that they control, and so if Teysa's in play, that doubles.
Yeah. So I have that and Grave Pact in there. I did not put in the
Dictate
of Erebos.
Okay.
And there are no board wipes because those are my main ways of getting rid of stuff, and it just didn't fit with the flavor of how
and
we
you
were
had
doing.
attrition in there and some other.
So I had ways of getting rid of stuff, but I wanted to kind of stick in the flavor. There's only like 5 cards that don't fit in with the sacrifice thing or whatever idea.
Mm-hmm.
This next one's pretty interesting.
So I'm probably gonna just say them both at the same time. Demon of Dark Schemes and Massacre Worm. When they enter the battlefield, all creatures get -2/-2. Dark Schemes, you get energy. Massacre Worm, the opponents lose 2 life per creature that dies.
So the one time I did get to use this was against Lowry in our first game.
It worked.
I didn't have Teysa out, and it still did 12, and then you ended up sacrificing stuff.
I had 6 creatures die,
and then you
and
were
lost
sacrificing other things.
And
It was
then
probably like
Yehenni
18.
got huge,
Yeah.
and Alunda got huge.
And that was without Teysa being out in play.
Yeah.
So it was pretty interesting how it worked out. If I wouldn't have won, but I would have got Lowry's life a lot lower if it would have worked out if Teysa was out. But Lowry had killed her earlier.
I was dominating.
Wah, wah. Yeah. Dominating 2 people that fucking weren't doing anything.
Because
and
I
he
was stopping you.
Yeah. All right, and then these are a couple recursion stuff that I have in the deck, just because I have 7, I think, total, but these are the main ones that
Phyrexian Reclamation, which is CCC. I love it. Ravos Soul Tender, which is a paired commander, but other creatures you control get +1/+1, and it'll, during your upkeep, bring a creature back. And then Golgari Thug, which is an interesting... I kind of cut it like 3 times when I was going through.
I was like, but it's good.
It has Dredge 4, it's a 1/1, and whenever Golgari Thug dies, put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. So that seems like a death trigger, and you'd be able to put 2 creatures
up there.
On top of your library.
And then you can dredge him and put him back on top, and then you can use him as a sack outlet. Like, so you can just kind of keep cycling it. The only thing that would suck is like if the creatures you don't want the creatures to go on top. Is it a you may?
No.
Yeah, so you'd have to do 2 creatures.
If the Golgari Thug is entering the graveyard, if it's the only one, that goes on top.
But then that can be, if you're just needing a sack outlet, that can continuously be something that you're sacking.
Always going to be able to.
Which I did run into that. That was kind of, I think, the handcuffs of the deck, is there was too much stuff I had out that I didn't want to sacrifice, if you know what I mean. Like, okay. I was like, I actually want these to stay in play. So I think if I were to do some tweaks, it might be to take out some of the things that benefit from the sacks.
Because there are 2 of them?
Benefit from sacking creatures, and more of when they get sacked, things happen. You know, like things that I want to die. You know, I think I have too much, not too much, but maybe 2 or 3 cards where I could flip-flop that.
Okay.
And then the last stuff, this last package is kind of your game winners and the one alt win con that's in there. And actually that's how I won the game that I did win. So, hey, it did do Teysa Queen of alt win.
Yeah, with Revel in Riches,
which
is
we have
one
talked
you
about.
spec'd on. If you have 10 or more treasure tokens in play during your upkeep, you win the game.
And the reason why it went crazy was because of
Smothering Tide?
No, not
Pitiless
Smothering
Splendor?
Tide. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, Pitiless Splendor is really cool. So that's a 1/4 from Rivals of Ixalan. Whenever another creature you control dies, create a colorless treasure artifact token.
Blah blah blah.
Blah,
but
blah.
it doesn't say non-token. So I was sacking
All of
my
your
tokens,
getting a ton of treasure,
and getting them, and Teysa was out, so it was actually with the Teysa. So there's a lot of key stuff in here that I used. But I had the Teysa out, sacking 3 white creatures, 3 flying 4/4s, to remove a creature from the game, getting 6 treasure tokens, and by the end of it, I had 26.
so you won with that.
Yeah. Then I was just like, well, you can't attack me. I just killed your whole board. I'm just going to say go. And then when you say go back to me, I win.
Did you get to play Smothering Tithe at all?
I didn't.
I
know.
want to see it.
I know.
It seems sweet.
And then what else?
Rise of the Dark Realms.
Oh, that is actually how I got into the game. That's what made the game. It was all in Jeremy's favor. He had Brago.
Yeah, Brago.
So he had Brago, and he had just had us on lockdown, and I was 1 mana short for like 3 turns of doing Rise of the Dark Realms. And then finally pulled that mana, brought everything back to the board, and that was pretty much...
So Rise of the Dark Realms brings back all creatures from
took
all
their
graveyards
creatures,
into your
my creatures,
battlefield.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So...
And then Torment of Hailfire, which... You could do a lot of mana with your treasures, with your...
So if that would have been in my hand...
black market,
yeah.
It just seems like you could potentially... Like, that's a really good mana sink.
Yeah. So that was sitting in my hand in the last game that we played, but Lowry killed me.
Yeah.
Lowry's
it was the right play.
You know, if we were drinking a beer right now, if you could drink a beer, but it's so freaking late, I'd call you a douche. But we're saving the beer for next week. So
I know that's a great thing about...
The funny... I can't wait that... Should we jump into that? I mean, okay, let's
into the games.
Let's talk about this really quick. The end of this deck. The difficulty part of it was trying to balance what I was just talking about. The things that benefit from your things dying, and then having the things that you want to die. You know, like having a balance of the two that were good enough. You know, I did a lot of things that have afterlife. So you didn't name them all. I didn't grab every single afterlife or
checked out the tapped out link.
Yeah,
that might be there.
Might be there.
It'll be there.
But I had a lot of stuff where you got a token when it died. You know, Afterlife was a very good thing to add in here. I think I used
Afterlife seems really cool.
6 of the Afterlife cards in this deck,
and there are older cards that act similar to it, leave creatures behind when they die. And so, like you're trying to find a balance between having those die and then permanents that benefit from death.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So the surprise card is that Angel that we both were down on. That one actually...
Seraph of the Scales.
Yeah. That one was... I had that in 2 games, and it's very threatening because people won't attack you because you can potentially give it Death Touch. And then it gets the Vigilance, which I still want the lifelink in there. But the Vigilance is nice because I could run through.
I just wish it could do everything.
Yeah.
And when it dies, leaves a ton of creatures behind.
It's black and white. It should have lifelink, but it also should have Vigilance, I guess, with white. But whatever.
No, it works.
Yeah.
It's a good card.
Yeah. So... I don't know. The deck worked really when it finally worked. It was freaking awesome, but it was tough dealing with Lowry's shit. So all those creatures was fucking insane. Because then I was like, damn, I should have gone more with board wipe stuff. But it's not often that you're going against a deck that's just creatures and ramping. Like you had so much mana, it was insane. Let's just jump into the freaking unless you have more you wanted to say about
for yours.
Yeah. No.
You're fine. I mean, we'll probably get more into it when we're talking about gameplay. So, I mean, the first game, so it was my Nikya deck, green-red, your Teysa deck, black-white, and then we were playing against Lazov, black-blue, which the original one,
not the newer one.
So it has hexproof, and whenever something get milled, it turns into whatever creature. And so I was just like, well, if you mill me at all with Lazov in play, you can get a huge creature. You are hitting. Don't worry about that. And he never got to.
Yeah. Lowry's deck worked. Like, if you could write it out how you would want the turns to work, that's what it did. Well, and the other part that sucked is we didn't do anything. Like, I had 2 planes in my hands, and I had everything in my hand was... black mana except for Teferi's Protection, which I'm not going to cast at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
Funny thing about that is later in the game when I was ready to cast it, Lowry has out.
I had Dose in the Falling Leaf, which didn't allow him to surprise me about it.
So I had to cast it on my turn and be like, well, you can't attack me.
Which was perfect. We're skipping way ahead because what I did was I used Shaman of the Forgotten Ways,
Well, we can skip ahead because nothing happened until pretty much there.
Well, the nice thing was you guys were kind of like building enchantments and artifacts, and then I played like Bane of Progress, then Reclamation Sage, then copied Bane of Progress,
and then you Kiki Jiki'd and did it again.
Bane of Progress. It was sweet.
Yeah, everything was like
they were just like, this game sucks. Yeah. I was like, no, it's going right as rain right now, and but yeah.
Right as perfect. Rain.
Yeah.
Right as rain.
That's a saying.
I know it is. It's the
It might not be the best place to apply it. I was right as rain. There we go. Maybe.
I just sat there and I'm like, that is a weird.
All right, Grandpa.
Right. Yeah. That's exact. Now all the younger podcast or the other listeners are like, fuck these guys. I'm not listening to these guys anymore.
What the hell is right as rain? This guy from Wizard of Oz? So Nikya it went really well. I really enjoyed it, that game. Just dominating purely against you.
What did I get you down to eventually? So that's the one where
I was like 19, yeah. So
that was when I got Massacre Worm out and
killed 6 of my creatures, and then I lost 12 life. You attacked with like a 2/9/9 Yehennis because he had the mask on it. Or he had one mask. I did destroy it.
Let's see if we remember.
We always forget it.
And I was just looking at it. I don't even want to look. I gotta look.
We have talked about this a lot.
And we always forget every single time, you would think. And you know what's funny is this comes to me in the middle of the day. I'm like, I'm never going to forget that fucking card again. Nope, every single time. And I was just looking at it. It is...
Mask of a...
No, I don't think Mask is in it. I think it's Helm.
Helm of the Host.
Yeah, it's
I
not
told
Mask.
you it was.
Yeah,
you shouldn't have doubted me.
It's not Mask in it. I know every time we say Mask because it looks like a mask, but it's a helm. God damn, Helm of the Host.
So, yeah, he had another Yehenni. He attacked with 2/9/9s there, and Elend was a 7/7 lifelinker because my creatures died. The Massacre Worm was very effective against me.
And this was all without Teysa out. If Teysa was in, you would have been lower life, but not dead.
I would have been single digits, I believe.
Yeah, but
I still would have. The crackback was real. I got Balefire Liege and hasted it, killed your gang, and then I went over and killed Orzhov the next turn.
Yeah, it
was badass.
It was not badass. It was not fun at all. It was pretty terrible. So let's skip that game. You won, of course.
Did not skip it. That's my only win.
We decided to call that game a draw because just none of us were having fun. So we went into the next game, and you played with Trombley again. You played with Trombley every time.
Yeah, Trombley played Trostani, the Return to Ravnica one that gains life, and you can
for counters and everything
make extra
make
tokens. Yeah. I ended up playing Xantia the second game
because
and Zach was playing Goreclaw, which was going to be a very similar creature heavy game. So I wanted mine to be a little, have a different deck. Xantia almost killed Trombley with commander damage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was down to 4 more left. And what I did was like, I don't want to kill him. And so I played, on turn 6, I played Phyrexian Arena and Delirium Skeins and made everybody discard 3 cards. And so I discarded my hand. Trombley went down to 1 card, and Goreclaw, Zach had 3 or 4 in hand.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem there was I had that demon aura from Battlebond that when it comes into play gives all creatures -2/-2 and gives that creature +2/+2 in flying. And so that would have I would have put that on Xantia, which would have flown over and killed Trombley.
Oh, okay.
But instead I discarded it because I didn't want
the game
to die over that. Yeah. And so I wanted to keep a little bit close. And so Xantia just kind of like
slowly
just was like killing a creature. Yeah, just getting chumped for a little bit until it went away. But Trombley ended up...
if I was Trombley there, you fucking would have totally done that.
Maybe.
You'd have been like, haha, fucker, you're out on turn 3.
But that's not the point of Xantia. The point of Xantia is to like draw a ton of cards off of it. And I only drew 1 card.
You would have had Xantia kill somebody, though.
Anything.
That's your main goal, is that Xantia kill somebody.
I'll admit that.
So
I like Trombley, though.
Yeah,
so,
and
But Trombley ended up coming back and winning.
Yeah.
he went like doubling season into. He had like a Johnny's Pride made out, and then he went with the enchantment that gives double strike and lifelink, and then he was
the white enchantment.
Yeah. And so he just started gaining a ton of life, and I was like, we're done.
Whoops.
And he just started overtaking the board, and there wasn't anything I could do.
So then he just let Xantcha get killed. Kill Xantcha? Like, what happened with Xantcha?
Xantcha just attacked, and he blocked and killed it. And then I was down to basically for 2-3 turns with Phyrexian Arena. I drew like land, artifact ramp, land. Like I just didn't draw anything of consequence, and so that was unfortunate because I definitely discarded some good cards like a Hero's Downfall that destroys any creature, and it's probably the wrong play, but I wanted people to draw cards and they just didn't do it. That is frustrating. And the Trombley was just like, I'm not going to draw any cards. That's what you want to have happen, Lowry. I was like, yes, please do what I want. Didn't work. So, yeah, that was... and then what were you playing over there?
So I was playing... Of course, I was playing Teysa again, because the first game wasn't really playing a game at all. And I went against Brago, and Jeremy was playing Brago, and Mike was playing... What's her name? It was
Gisela.
Gisela, he got mana screwed, so he really didn't. He literally played 2 enchantments and 2 creatures, and that was all he got to play the whole game. Because what happened is Brago got going, and he had I can't even name the creatures, but he had lots of multiple effects going on where he was bouncing and scrying and looking for land because I had more land than he did, and then he was bouncing our creatures. 1 creature to my hand, 1 on our library. He was doing that to Mike with his deck, and so he didn't get to draw a land because he kept drawing the same damn card over and over again. But the thing is, all his stuff wasn't doing huge damage, so he wasn't
it's like dink, 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 dink.
Little pinging here and there, and so it was slowly bringing us down. And I was still, my stuff cost so low casting cost that I was just bringing it right back out again, and then he was just bouncing those, so he wasn't full out attacking because I could block those, and what I actually want to happen is my stuff to die. But I did have Skull Clamp out, and so I was able to use Skull Clamp, which we didn't mention in that the spotlight. There's a lot of cards we didn't mention.
Skull Clamp is going to be amazing in that.
Yeah, Skull Clamp I was putting on creatures and either making them die or attacking into stuff or sacking them or whatever, and instead of drawing the 2 cards off of Skull Clamp, I was drawing 4. So
with Teysa,
yeah. So what I ended up doing was drawing enough cards, and I had Rise of the Dark Realms in my hand, and so I made one mistake early because I had the Scryland, the Commander Scryland, which was really beneficial because I called humans.
Oh yeah.
Most of the deck has a lot. It's probably out of my creatures, it's probably 75% humans. And so every time I cast them and he's bouncing on my hand, I get to keep scrying. So I was like, all right, scry. And one time I scryed and it was a land. I was like, that's not the answer I want. And I put it at the bottom. And as soon as I put it at the bottom, I was like, no, I needed 9 and I had 8 mana.
Oh.
Yeah. So I could have done it 2 turns earlier, but whatever. So what ended up happening is I started drawing a ton of cards from Skull Clamp, and I discarded on purpose all my big creatures and stuff that I wanted to come into play later. So I was really preparing 2 turns early.
It's almost a good thing that you just kind of sent that land.
So I threw everything in there, and then he threw on, what is that? Reality Shift? Is that it? When it has 3 phase counters on it, and when it leaves play, it's that enchantment. And it has 3.
It's like Reality Acid. That has
phasing.
Yeah.
Yep. Not phasing. It's
Vanish.
Yeah, vanishing. Yeah, something like that.
Vanishing.
So when it leaves play, it doesn't matter if it gets destroyed or whatever. Whenever that leaves play, you have to sacrifice it.
He was flickering that?
Well, he was going to, but he never did. But I threw on my Skull Clamp on there. Mike played a creature that destroyed target art or enchantment, so he killed that. I got to kill Teysa, put her in the graveyard. I was like, I don't want her in my hand. Drew 4 cards off of that. My turn comes around, finally get the land I needed, and I brought back 10 creatures out of my graveyard, 2 out of Jeremy's graveyard, 2 out of Mike's graveyard, and so then I just had board presence, and he couldn't attack through me. He could still bounce 3 things, but by the time it came back around to me, what happened was I played Divine Visitation, which is whenever you play a token, turns into a 4/4.
Oh, yeah.
4/4 Flying Angel. And then I had what I was talking about earlier, the treasure token thing where I win the game, and I also had the...
So you're like winning on multiple levels.
So then I attacked into him, he had a Planeswalker out, so I was taking out his... Who's the dude that died? The white and blue guy that died.
Oh, Venser.
Venser. So I was going into Venser, and he blocked, killed my guys, but I had so many guys out, the ones that generate the 0/1 tokens and whatever, whenever a creature dies.
That flood
So I
of
made
4/4 angels.
14 4/4 angels. And then I drew, also I had 2 cards that had me draw cards for every time a creature were in the graveyard. I drew 10 cards, and I made 26 treasure tokens. So I was just like, well, I sacrificed these 3, I kill that, I sacrificed this. So I just wiped his board until he couldn't do anything anymore, and he had 1 card in his hand. And I was like, go. I have 26 fucking... Because
You
even
got Revel the Riches in play,
Revel
too,
and Riches. So I played Revel and Riches right at the end of my turn. I was like, well, this is the other game winner. Because he had gained a lot of life through that. He had the core dude that has protection from black and red, and every time you play a creature, gain a life.
Auriok.
Yeah, whatever his name is, the white
Yeah.
guy. So he was at, like, when I started that, 70 plus life, and by the triggers from... I had both the guys that he loses a life every time a creature dies. By the time that was... my turn was done from sacking stuff, he was down in the teens.
Okay.
And so really I just needed my turn to go, and I could sacrifice whatever creatures, and he was dead. So, I wanted to win with treasure tokens.
Might as well.
So then our game
everybody.
lasted a long time. You guys actually got in a second game, right?
Yeah, I ended up playing a Nikya, and then Zach went over to the red-white Battle Bond Paradragon Knight guy, and then Trombley played the Tristani again, and that went even worse this time. That was brutal.
That time you weren't trying to hold back anything, and it still was bad?
Well, this time I missed 1 land drop at, like, from 3 to 4. And so I
like you
I
forgot,
missed,
or you just missed it?
No, I missed it. I didn't draw it. And so that I was just like, and I believe I said that in the spotlight last week, was if I don't get to 5 mana on curve or a little bit ahead, it's trouble.
Yeah.
And so, like, I was, he ended up having, like, there's that Eldrazi artifact that makes everything indestructible, flying and +1/+1. And then he had, like, just a token army. He had a Mirari's Wake on turn 4.
Ugh.
Like, he was doubling mana quicker than I was. And I was just like, damn it, that's what mine is supposed to do. And then Zach got flooded on that game, so he was just playing land and almost couldn't keep up. The card that was a surprising all-star for me was the Heartwood Storyteller.
Yeah, that
whenever
is a good
somebody
card.
plays a non-creature spell, everybody else draws a card.
Yeah.
I drew at least 12 cards off of it tonight. Or, like, it was crazy.
At
like,
least that, because I think in the first game you got him out, and I did it a couple times, and Trombley did it multiple times.
People do it, like, just play non-creature spells willy-nilly, and you're like, yeah, okay.
And that's the hard part, is, like, that deck is just built off of doubling your freaking mana, so you're drawing all these cards and just being able to play, and even if it's mana, it's doubling your mana, so that whatever you're playing is freaking that much more beneficial for you.
Yeah, and so I was digging as hard as I could. I had, like, Vizier of the Menagerie to play.
Menagerie Trois.
Exactly, that one. You get to play creatures off the top of your library, and I was digging. I was able to play like 3-4 creatures off the top, being able to try and get lands off the top, and that worked 3 out of the 4 games.
Yeah,
like,
how did you get that? Because you did it in our games too.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
It's sick.
Yeah.
And so Vizier and Garuk's pack or whatever. It's not pack. Horde. Kruluk's Horde.
where you got to play the creature off the top of your library.
Those cards are fantastic when you have like 22 mana. Like you're just like boom, boom, Oracle of Moldiah. Oh yeah, I'll play another land. It just feels so good once you get to like turn. Like if you get to untap with Nikya in play, and you either lay out your hand and like get really threatening and attack somebody, or you're playing off the top if you run out and you just go crazy. Like Nykthos was tapping for 22. Like, Shrine to Nykthos was
our last game, right? Yeah.
But so for this one, I couldn't do anything. I was just digging as hard as I could. Zach was trying to cast non-creature spells to draw me into, and I needed the Bane of Progress to just get rid of all the enchantments and artifacts.
You needed a Bane of Pride. I was like, you got him again? You got him every game. I probably drew like 8 cards off of Heartwood Storyteller, and then I was playing creatures off the top, and I just could not find it. That is... so tutors are nice sometimes. That ended pretty quick there then?
Yeah, I mean, he drew a bunch of cards with a Grook Planeswalker that draws for the highest power. And then he played Beastmaster Ascension, attacked with like 20 creatures, and I was like, I'm dead. Zach was going to survive, but he was going to be in his 10s, and like he just like drew. He was like, well, it's a fucking land. Yeah. And it was game. So he trashed us on that game pretty hard. Nice. He was at like 80, 90 life. I was... This is stupid.
You're like, damn it, why didn't I kill him that first game?
Yeah.
So then we move into the last game where we actually lost Mike after I killed him with my stuff.
So we went to a 5-person game.
Went to a 5-person game. Went against a fucking control deck and went against...
Grand Arbiter.
We went against
and then you had Mogus, the red-black god.
Yeah. God, Jeremy always plays that fucking card. So it right away made me want to kill him, but then I realized Trombley's playing a counterspell deck, and we all know how I feel about counterspells. So immediately I'm like, kill these two.
You kill them both.
And then Larry ramped. And
I became this scary one.
Yeah. It did pretty much what he did in the first game.
But better.
It did, but better. And there was 4 other players. He got freaking... You got what? Double. So at one point he was able to tap. He had Vorinclex,
Nikya, and then I had Regal Behemoth that gave the...
Hey, we got to play Monarch! And
that was sweet.
And I got to hold it most of the time.
And then I played Vorinclex the next turn, and it was just like... This is awesome.
It was
Everybody
awful.
Hated. I actually misplayed. I thought I had 8, but I needed 9 because Grand Arbiter was making me pay 1 more. So everybody knew Vorinclex was coming. Yeah. They're like, did you pay 1? I was like, shit.
Yeah.
I was like, can I discard this? And now I'm just going to get aimed at.
It didn't matter. We weren't able to do anything at that point.
But Vorinclex did some work, and it was...
But he didn't win.
I did not win.
The crazy part. He went all fucking out at me, Mr. I have 6 1/1 flyers and 2 2/2s.
Well, Mogus was doing his job and just pinging everybody.
And I actually didn't realize how low Lowry's life was. I was just trying to gain life, and he was the biggest threat.
I was at like 19, and he swung in for 6 to get the Monarch. And so I was like, I'm at fucking 13. He can kill me in like 2 turns.
Well, I took the Monarch 2 turns before that. I held it for 2 turns.
Did you?
I hit you for 3 the first time with my 3 1/1s, and then I got more because of you killing.
I did Bane of Progress and killed your Walker.
Yeah, and so that's where the Vigilance lifelink came into play, because I had all these little tokens out and I was gaining my life back. And actually, Jeremy's deck was working well with mine.
It was
making me sacrifice. I had a free sack outlet to get rid of my Solemn Simulacrum. Sorry, Sad Robot. And who else did I get? Oh, I killed their enchantments.
Yep.
With the art, or my guy that sacrificed and all that. But yeah, Lowry swung at me for it was 50 something damage.
It was like 51.
Yeah, and I was at 41, but I blocked and gained life and went down to 2. 2 can't do anything with 2.
But it was, but again, I was at like 13, and I was just like, God, he's gonna be able to just kill me.
Clicks out. So every time that we're tapping to do something, because I had attrition in my hand. Attrition, I had attrition in my hand, but I had 2 black land, and then everything else was white. So I needed 3, and I could kill it.
Yeah, I don't feel
And
bad.
so I was like, well, if I play this, Lowry's going to come at me, but I still have a turn to wait until I get a black land.
There was enough power on board to get back and kill me when I was at 13, just barely, but there was some other threats.
But we kept saying, let's wipe the board, and then Zach
Next
is
turn.
right after Lowry.
Wipes the board.
Lowry's tapped out. Like, we could have
Tapped out,
killed him.
no creatures, no land.
But then Lowry, this was a good play.
I had the Whisperwood Elemental, which was the
We
manifest
talked about
one.
on the pod.
Oh,
or
man,
Spotlight.
it worked perfect. I was like, well, I'm going to sacrifice this, and I'm going to put 13 manifested whatevers into play. And I had one indestructible, the 8/8 that gives trample and indestructible. And so it was just like, man, I got this locked at this point. Nobody has creatures.
Best
Adam's
part of it,
dead.
the best part about this is I'm at 2 life. I kept a creature. I made sure one stayed alive when I was blocking Lowry. I could have gone down to 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But I wanted a creature to be able to block just in case anybody else attacked me. I mean, I had my commander or my jet, Teysa there, but I wanted another 2/2 to gain life from blocking. And so I was
But with
like,
the Wrath.
but the Wrath killed everything and but it didn't kill Jeremy's stupid fucking
Mogus.
So it comes to my turn. I can't sacrifice a creature now.
You died.
And I died. And that was another point of keeping that token there. So I was like, well, this sucks. So he was actually trying to do like a favor because we've been all like saying, we need this board wipe, board wipe. And then it was like, well, you just fucking killed me.
That was great.
So I sat
Great
out for the
times.
next 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But then we did figure out one thing but his guys were manifested and
They're tokens.
so if somebody
apparently.
Cyclonic Rift, which Trombley was about to do,
I'd lose them all.
he'd lose them all. Even though he can flip them with the manifest, they're not actually flipped sitting there like morph cards.
Mm-hmm.
Morph cards would go right to your hand, but the manifest stuff, he would have lost them all.
But the great thing
Yeah,
about
there's
that
another
was,
thing.
so Trombley's down to 4, and he casts Mystical Tutor to go and search for something. But Jeremy had something that said whenever you played a spell of converted mana cost 3 or less, you
lose
take
2
2
life.
damage. So he casts the tutor, goes down to 2, and then he's like,
As a creature,
debating.
he has his, you guys can't cast red spells.
Yeah, which is the 9 mana 7/7 flyer angel. So he can sacrifice that, which he ends
So
up
it
doing.
keeps him alive.
But he was like, why can't I go get Cyclonic Rift? Because that's a converted mana cost of 2. He would have taken 2 damage and died.
Even though he was paying 7 to do it, it still only goes off the 2 casting cost.
So he went and got Sphinx's Revelation, went back up to 9.
and then died the next turn.
And then I was
after
like,
you.
well, I got to kill you.
Yeah.
You just drew 7 cards,
Yeah.
9 cards. No, 7 cards.
So then what happened after that? So Trombley gets knocked out.
I tried to kill Jeremy, and he cast the Sickening card that has split second, gives all creatures or turns all creatures into
O2s.
O2s. So I couldn't kill him.
Loses all abilities.
Yeah, and then I was down to 3 by this point, and Zach just plays his dragon and kills me. He's like, boop. I was like, fuck.
But then
nothing.
Jeremy gained life there, though, didn't he?
Oh, he played Exsanguinate for 8, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And so it was, I went down.
I wasn't
that's when I went
involved
down
at
to
that
3.
point.
Yeah, so I was at 11, went down to 3, and Jeremy went up to like 60 something.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And so I got Jeremy back down to like
30,
32 or something.
But he was down. He was way down before that. I think we were all, weren't we within striking distance of
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
We
Well,
were
he gained 24 life off the
Oh yeah, your
Exsanguinate.
big swing was going to kill him before he turned
and
into
the
O2s.
O2 turning him O2s was brutal.
Plus, you pumped him X whatever.
Yeah,
or
Keswick Wolf run. I was like, give my guy +9/+0. You're gonna die. And he's like, well,
no,
stop that.
Yeah,
It's a black fog. It's
Yeah.
quite good.
So then Jeremy ended up taking that last game, right?
He did.
Yeah.
He did. But that was a really fun game for me, at least. Like
Yeah.
it was fun to see like the deck just kind of work.
And we talked about this before the cast and everything. Is I felt bad the first game, although your deck got to work perfectly, but it
There
worked
wasn't
perfectly
an
with
inter-
any resistance.
Yeah.
Like we didn't get to go, put a test to it. This last one, when there was 4 of us, it was better. We still had Zach that was not doing anything for most of the game until he board wipes.
And then
And
then he kills
kills
me.
Kills me with the damn
Killed
board
you
wipe.
with the board wipe. Kills me with his dragon.
Yeah. But yeah, I wish that first game we could have given you a little bit more resistance with stuff, or maybe
I'm happy for the win. The
Yeah,
one
it was-
win. I'm alright with it. But again, like the deck works, so I was fine with it. Like, it's always like, if you don't do anything for the game and then you end up winning, I'm fine with that. Like, that's okay, but it's not. I want my deck to work.
Right.
And I think we've said that before. Like, as long as the deck is working, you're having some interaction. I think those make for some really good games.
Yeah. So I liked how everything worked with mine. It's just that that first game kind of bugged me. The four planes didn't help me at all. But that last game where you took over, my stuff was working the way I wanted it to. There wasn't a point where I was like, I'm going to win this game on the. There's a lot of those. And the game I did win, I told you about this too, is by turn 4 or 5, I had a win potentially with Revel in Riches by sacrificing my own stuff and making everybody else sacrifice theirs. But then, magic happens where...
Interaction.
Yeah,
Somebody
interaction. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which, that's what we didn't do to you the first game. That's what I felt bad, is like we didn't get to like throw a wrench in at all. It was just like, hey, Lowry, can I bend over here? Is this lighting good? Like, it just...
Too much shadow in the crack. That was disgusting.
There goes our sounder.
One thing that you guys... Damn it. So, like, one thing that we kind of forgot to bring up, like, with Garruk's Horde and you're playing all those creatures, it does suck when you run into, like, land. Okay, I can play that. Land again. Shit.
Yeah.
And, like, you got to figure out how to get around that land.
Or the best part is he had, like, what was it, 22 floating green.
Yep.
And then a red creature pops up.
Yeah, a red creature.
Like, God damn it.
Yeah, Kiki Jiki popped up top. And, like, that got in the way a little bit. And I was like, dang it.
But most of the time, that's going to help you,
And so, like, in that regard, there was a couple times where I left, like, 10 mana on the board. Like, I think 2 or 3 times. Mm-hmm. And it makes me feel like I want a little bit more, like, mana sinks to be able to use that mana just in case I run in, just being able to, because that first game I played
Duskwatch,
and
I was actually just about to bring that up.
It was great.
I think we might have. Did you use that ability again later? Because I think it was supposed to flip, wasn't it? Or it's.
Oh, I only did it the one turn.
Okay, so it didn't matter.
Yeah,
all right.
It should have flipped though. You're right.
Well, I was just thinking that. I was like, Duskwatch was awesome, but we never flipped it. And then,
I think it only was around for like one turn. And
then because then I wiped it with Wormcoil or Massacre.
So it should have died. You should have flipped.
Yeah,
it'd be like 4/4.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So there are definitely some cards where I'm not used to, like Duskwatch, Whisperwood, Elemental. I think I missed the ability. Shit, what does it do?
Which one?
The one that manifests. I missed a manifest trigger.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, at the beginning of your turn.
Yeah. So, but it's you got to get used to your deck, and that's part of just once you learn your deck a lot better, learning how to play with it.
So you went into this thinking that this was what you thought probably your worst deck that you would make, but this actually was probably one of your better ones, I would think. Don't you think?
It's right where I want it to be. And everybody kept on saying, this is exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to play creatures, have a ton of mana.
That's Jeremy's like,
yeah,
this is like, he didn't say wet dream. I was like, that's what I said. Lowry's wet dream for having big creatures. He was saying more of, you love mana, and that's just yours double. Yeah. Like, it was insane how often you were getting that to go.
Well, like, and I was paying everything, and then trying to Nykthos was 22. And I was just like, I don't even remember how much I spent before that. It was like 15 or something. It was great. So this was a really fun deck. Again, I think once people learn how to be like, okay, Nikya's in play, let's try and kill it. I think it'll really slow down the deck. And,
I don't think it got targeted very often. No. Trombley exiled it once, turned our stuff to boars, but...
didn't kill it.
It didn't kill it? Oh, yeah, he didn't target that, did he?
So, but he did get rid of my Shaman of Forgotten Ways, which I could have killed 2 people on that. I could have paid 11 and put everybody around 2 to 3. Mm-hmm. Zach didn't have a creature out, and so
he would have died. Dead.
Trombley would have been at 2. Jeremy was at 1. You might have been at 3 or 4, and I would have killed 2 other players. So it would have been
game over.
I didn't do it.
So you held back on that? Just do it.
I did. No. Well, because Zach played Chain the Rocks on
Trombley.
Trombley's creature, the Thalia.
Yeah.
And he's like, I hope you keep me around for a little bit. That's exactly why.
But then you later did kill something of his, and then it came back.
Yeah, well, I did. Yeah, that is true. I Bane of Progressed and got rid of Chain of Rocks, and then Thalia came back.
Bang.
But that's fine. That made things. It drew it out a little bit longer. It was I thought that was a really fun game.
Yeah. All besides us not winning, but that's all right. All right, should we move into our next segment with Mythic Edition?
Mythic Edition into Smith Specs of the Week. That's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You're just going to cut over that?
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse that shit?
I actually don't ever cut that out. I just have you say it right afterwards.
I
know. Okay, so if you didn't know...
Mythic Edition was started on Thursday.
And only sold on eBay.
Only sold on
starting
eBay?
At eBay, I guess, and when people bought
we'll see
it.
where it goes to.
So what do we think about it? What did we do? Or I guess...
Okay, so on eBay, it kind of gives you a little bit more information. We were able to find out that they had, for units-wise, they had in between 19 and 20,000. And people were digging into the code back there, and that's kind of what they found. And so we know how much is out there.
The interesting thing about that is, as they were being sold, they didn't think about it was going to show how many was left. They didn't say an exact amount, but it'd say it was doing it percentage wise. And so then what ended up happening when it first went for sale, I was like, Lowry, holy shit, already 1,000 sold.
Yeah,
like
you said like 3 minutes into it, you're like
4,000 or something.
Yeah, something like 4,000 had already been sold. I was like, holy shit.
So it freaking took off at the very beginning. I think around the 9,000 mark, which
it really slowed down after that.
Was about was it a day when they pulled it off and put it back on?
Yeah,
no,
so
it was that night. That
night they pulled it and then like put it back on later.
So now they don't have it just says limited quantity available right now.
So they changed a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Like Hasbro's pretty new at the selling toys thing.
They're like,
we don't know what the fuck they're doing on eBay, on their website.
They're like, oh shit, this is actually showing
people
exactly
like magic.
how much.
What do I do?
Yeah.
I'm used to failing products. So we got to make movies about Battleship and shit.
Exactly. So roughly, we're thinking if you take the 9,000 that we saw, at least, I don't know what it actually ended at.
Right now on this post that we're looking at currently, it says 1,337 have been sold.
So roughly about 11 to 12,000 of the 19 to 20 supposedly.
Has been sold. Yeah, and the other thing that they did over at Fast Finance, they saw that they had pulled 5,000 from the listing to make it look like there's more. Less. And so it's kind of like they're like, oh man, it didn't sell out super quick, so we need to manipulate some of the numbers to make it seem more rare. Mm-hmm. So don't be fooled. Yeah, that's essentially it. Unless they absolutely pull that from the market and never sell it, which I don't see happening. I mean, they made millions of dollars on this
in minutes.
Yeah. So I'm sure maybe that's something that they hand out to Channel Fireball again, or as quantity becomes smaller, they toss it out there again. But right now they're trying to manipulate the numbers to make it seem like there's less, and it's going to be harder to tell as they pull the ads and put it back on as well, because I'm not going to monitor it like a hawk or anything.
No, but it's interesting that this is the first time we've actually kind of got a pretty good estimate of how much there is. They never.
Yeah, the other question is that the same amount as the last Mythic Edition?
Which we don't know because it wasn't on eBay.
Yeah.
It's like, thank you for putting it on eBay. Now we know your quantities.
We at least have an idea.
Yeah. Which is really interesting, though. We know that let's say there's 20,000. Sure. There's 20,000 copies of each one of those Planeswalkers.
It's still pretty rare.
Yeah. I mean, that's really low printing of those. Mm-hmm. So here's what did we do with this? I tried to convince you to buy.
You tried to convince me to buy. There was limited 2 per.
So I bought my first 2, and then I immediately put up for sale all the second. I keep my not play set, but my
just
copy.
One of each.
And then I put up all the other ones. Yeah, I don't have them, but this is like the first time I've listed something and I put it on there. I don't have these yet, but when I get them next week, I will send them to you, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. By the next morning, I had sold 5 of the 8 and made back the $250 that I had spent on that box.
Okay.
So I sold Tamiyo for $70-$80. I guess the only ones I didn't have sold,
Jaya for 25.
Yeah, Jaya for 25. I didn't sell Kaya, I didn't sell Karn, and I didn't sell
It doesn't matter.
Ajani.
Oh,
okay.
Now it does matter.
Yeah. So Ajani, Karn, and Kaya were the only 3 that didn't sell. And Karn is supposedly the most expensive one. It should be the most expensive one, I would think. Because,
and that's kind of something that we'll talk about real quick here.
But so those sold, and I was just like, fuck. If I can get a couple more of these boxes, and I kind of calculated things out, if I sell them at the minimum prices what eBay was at and is at still at those prices,
you're just getting free packs.
Yeah, it ended up being I'd only make after all the eBay fees and the PayPal fees and all that stuff. I make $40 per box, and then I get 24 free packs. So once I sell these, but now here's the part that's kind of weird is there's almost like a bottoming out market right now. Everybody's gone
Everybody's
really
trying to
low.
sell it and try and make their money back.
Right, they're doing what I'm doing.
So Karn was going for what right before this cast?
So right before this cast,
which is the 26th,
on channel
27th at 2 a.m.
On not Channel Fireball, on Goldfish, they have Karn should be around $79.
Yeah.
If you actually go on eBay right now, you can pick it up for under 60. It's at $59 right now. If you go to the actual foil of Karn from Dominaria, that's at $60. So they're exactly the same for a full art foil
and that
card.
Seems like it's off.
So
there's not a ton at 59.
No,
but a lot of them you'll see a lot at 75.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying the full art. There's not a lot.
Yeah,
there was one, but it's been sitting there for a little bit, and so that actually, I'll just kind of say that's my first pick we'll do that as
Specs.
This with everything, but that could be a card you actually go for with your specs on this.
And the reason why I didn't end up buying it, like it did seem really tempting. Like part of it is I hate dealing with the bullshit of like
selling.
Well, no, just trying really hard and like having a big
I
mess.
hate trying really hard.
I'd much rather have things come to me easier. Like I'm not willing to go out on Black Friday.
Damn millennial
type thing. I don't want to, I just don't want to deal with a big hubbub. But once it slowed down, and I was like, "Oh, you mean I could casually go and get this now?"
Huh. Let me
think about this a little bit longer.
I think you started thinking about it. It was like it was still sunny out, and then I think by 11 o'clock at night, you're like, "Nope, I'm not gonna get it."
Yeah,
I was like, "Okay, that's fine, Lowry."
Well,
no,
I mean, like,
you're
I
like,
got
"Could we
really
do?
Tempted.
Could we do another battle box
with it?"
if
You're
I
like,
get
"Yeah,
it?"
we could," and I was like, "Oh man, I kind of want to do this now." But I mean,
you still can. It isn't too late. It's still
there are
sitting
still
there.
out there. My problem is like I'm just not going to sell them, so I'm not going to like. I'm a hoarder.
Yeah, Lowry's thing is he'll get them and
I'll get them and be like, "That's pretty.
I just
I'm
want
going
to
to keep it.
this.
How about we just?" So I just self-restraint.
But your main one that you'd want out of it is
Tameo.
Yeah, and
that's the only one out of them I don't have.
And that's the one that's actually pretty expensive. I mean, that's the one that's still sitting at $80. The thing is you can pick those up right now for $250 plus tax, so it's actually an extra $15. So really think $265.
Okay,
it is free shipping from them.
That's nice.
Yeah, they're super nice. So yeah, you can buy the box for $250, but people are buying the singles because it's like you just want one card out of it that fits with your deck. Yeah. And so people are willing to spend the $70-$80 on the one card or $50. That's generally around. If I had to average the price around right now, they're probably between $40 and $50 per. So
and like there's not enough like stock out there of this stuff to even come close to dropping the originals down. So like that's not. I kind of went back and looked at Teferi or Liliana Last Hope, the first edition of Mythic Edition. They haven't budged.
No,
they're not going down. These aren't going to go down. So sometimes when things are reprinted, sometimes they go down. This is not the case.
But now we know that there's
there's 20,000, which is not enough to affect prices at all in a meaningful way.
So needless to say, I picked up a bunch more boxes. I got my wife to buy some and have them. You can only have them shipped to your one address. I can't do the same household, so she shipped it to her parents. And then Mike was good enough to buy 2 of them for me, and then that's kind of where I stuck. I was like, all right. And then I just put them all up, and I've already sold almost all the Jayas are gone. Almost all the Kayas are gone.
Blows my mind that people want Jaya.
Yeah.
Blows my mind.
Yeah.
Stop buying Jayas.
You're like, you should get paid to have Jaya.
Yeah. I will take the Jaya off your hand
And you give me
if
money.
I have to.
But yeah, those are almost all gone. The cheaper ones are almost all gone. It's the more expensive ones. I'm not budging on my prices. I'm pretty much like fifth in line for...
I can't see Karn going below 75.
Yeah.
And with it sitting at 69 right now.
59?
59.
If you want...
I just wanted to say 69.
Yeah, you did. If you want your Karn or a couple of these, right now is probably the low point.
If it's still around. There was like 4 in stock with that person, right? Yeah.
So, all right, let's jump into actually Smith Specs of the Week.
We dominated Karn already.
Yeah, we already talked about Karn, so that was my first one. Larry, what is your first one?
So I've kind of taken a new tact with looking at specs, and what I kind of do is I'm going through Card Kingdom, and they have a couple of different sorting categories. I'm going with most popular instead of like high price to low or low price to high.
Mm-hmm.
And what that kind of does is you can kind of go through the first couple pages to see what is the most popular from a set. And sometimes cards stick out as much cheaper than the ones that they're around.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how, and then I look over at TCG and Goldfish and kind of compare between the three, because sometimes they're different. And so this first one, if that makes sense, I'm going with Melira, Sylvok Outcast. And right now that's sitting around 274. This is a combo piece. It's anti-poison. Poison's going to come back. They're going to go back to...
What? You don't...
Yeah. And I don't like it, but there just isn't a lot of hate against it either.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe they print new hate in the future, but this is what we have for now.
You can't have poison counters. Creatures can't get -1/-1 counters. And
so this is a combo piece with Persist, and it was a deck before Birthing Pod got banned, but Birthing Pod is kind of back with Vanifair, Prime Speaker Vanifair from the new one. So Pod is technically back at this point.
So it's similar to the Vizier card.
Yeah, similar. Yeah. So it's redundancy with that card.
This was the only one that
color.
was,
And so I would say this sitting, somewhere in between $2.50, $3. I think that's a solid card because this was up to like, I want to say $8 for a while. The foils are around $9. I think those are probably good buys too. So that, and again, this was something that was popular, but lower than everything in the area of the cards from New Phyrexia.
Yeah, the foils at one point were over around $30. This one I thought was at like 10 at one point.
I remember it being at like 8.
You're more focused on the non-foils with these guys, right?
I think either one would be fine because it is a legend as well. And if you want to be anti-poison within your play group,
why would you want to do that, Larry?
Perfectly fine.
Yeah, dude, look at
it was up to 15 around Shadows of Innistrad.
Yeah, so it had a couple spikes. The other one was around that 8 mark. Yeah, I like that card. Like you said, even having it with Vizier is perfect. You have
redundancy.
Yeah. All right. My next one kind of goes in when I was building this deck with Teysa is Yehenni, Undying Parisan. We had talked about this card actually, I think, with our rotating specs, right?
Yeah.
We did the rotating cards. I was able to pick up these guys for under $3. I actually got them for like $2.75 foils. Yeah. It's used in a ton of EDH decks.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a free sack outlet, which free sack outlets are awesome, and it has indestructible with it. Has haste,
hard to remove.
It's pretty freaking awesome. It doesn't even cost that much to come out. So and it potentially could be your commander if you want it as well.
Yeah.
So I just thought that this one was very low for how much it's used and how.
I think I was checking. It was like 8,000 or 9,000 on EDH.
Yeah.
That's the good start right there
for a set that was that's 2 years old.
Yeah.
So that's pretty damn recent too and change. Yeah. So I and any free sack outlets where you don't have to tap anything or tap it, you can do it instantly is always really good. Yeah. And
it just gets huge.
$2.75 for these for foil. I picked up a play set of them and I already had a foil. You also had the promo foil as well.
Yeah. I had a deck of it. Back in the day.
Yeah,
and it was a good one. It was fun.
Before 2 years ago?
back before 2 years. Back before everything. Back in the day is before this podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty much
Technically.
it. If we haven't talked about this, it's back in the day.
The Mitch Hedberg joke. Have you heard that one?
I'm sure. But go ahead.
Do you want to see a picture of me when I was younger? And he's like, every picture of you is when you were younger.
God, he was genius. Minnesota.
Yeah. All right. Next one.
My next one is going to be Chandra Flamecaller. This one actually surprised me on the most popular part. It was this is from Rise of Eldrazi. It's a Planeswalker. It's sitting around 250, and it was again. I think it was like a $10 card when it was in standard. And
check it. It was almost a $30 card.
Yikes! And so this was played. And I think it's used in a lot of EDH. Like I tried to put this in my Mizzet deck because it wheels, and I think it's more popular than I thought it was going to be. So at 250, Planeswalker, Mythic,
and even your foils aren't even that expensive either.
Yeah,
you're looking at $7 probably.
And so again, I think this is going to be a solid card.
Did you catch the EDH rec decks on it? No, you were looking.
No, I didn't look at
Card
that one.
Kingdom. Yeah, I don't have this one. I actually do want to pick this up. I didn't realize it was that cheap. Because when it was way up here, when it was around
it is a standard main player.
Yeah. So sweet. My next one goes back to our Ravnica Legion's masterpieces, and it's one of the cards I just talked about. Kaya. Right now, you can pick up Kaya, and this one's a little cautionary with it. It depends on if other formats pick up on this one.
Yeah.
If
Legacy
you think
Kaya is
going
to be good in Legacy or Vintage, this card's going to be worth a lot more than $33.
Yeah, and right now I think you pick them up for around $30 is what they're selling for on eBay. I sold mine for around $35, I think.
And if you think it's a bad card, then
skip it. But if you think it's going to be used in something, if you have, I don't know, in Legacy or something like that, I think we thought it was okay. I thought it, in my personal opinion, this was my least favorite, I think, out of the three.
Yeah, it's pretty situational.
Yeah, I actually like Domri better, and actually,
absolutely.
Selling wise, Domri is up around $50 right now, and this one's in the 30s. So
Riot is a really good mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
It seems really powerful at this point.
But with these full art, you can almost call them the box toppers. You know, this
pretty much, yeah.
And we know kind of the print run of how much they're going to be if this is used in some of those other formats. But you had mentioned to me, Legacy doesn't drive prices. It's Commander.
No, I mean, it's over a long period of time, but it just doesn't move, and like Vintage doesn't move at all at this point.
Commander are drivers, but they drive them over time.
Your reserve list will move because of Legacy, but this isn't reserve list.
No, Commander players drive cards, but that takes a while. This isn't necessarily a Commander card because really you're going after
specific.
Soul Rings is the only thing you're targeting, and you can't get your Sensei tops because they go right up back on top. So it's like you said, situational.
And so maybe like pinpoint Graveyard Hate,
But if you start seeing decks, so I guess this is more. Keep an eye on this. If you start seeing people playing in Legacy and everything, maybe
start
pick
thinking
this
about
up.
picking it up.
Yeah, because this is gonna be low. Your last one, Lau.
That's gonna be 8.5 Tails foil from Eternal Masters. This is a legend that turns spells into white and gives your creatures protection from white. And then the foil version is sitting around for $5. And this card was a really expensive card before the reprint. The foil for the original is sitting around 14 right now, and
so 14 compared to 4 right now, which is a pretty big difference.
And I can see that doing a lot better, and it is a really solid Commander card, being a legend, and being able to just kind of control and be tricky in combat.
Yeah, I've used this card before in Commander and everything. Yeah, you had it at one point mid-20s, and then reprinted. It kind of dropped off a bit.
So
yeah. I dig it. All right, so that's it for Smith Specs.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for 50 fucking episodes. We're at 50.
We're at 50. We're 2 away from a year, I think. That's how that works. There's 52 weeks in a year, right?
We will have a special episode for that. Actually, we're going to be double casting next week, right?
Yeah, we'll double cast.
Larry's going out of town.
Road trip.
So we will have our regular cast, which we have no idea. Well, we do have an idea. We actually have a CCC. Are we doing CCC?
I think we're doing CCC.
So we have 2 colors we'll be picking for that. We actually know what it is, but we're not going to tell you, so you have to listen.
Boom. Cliffhanger. Oh my gosh.
Ooh, we got to listen next week then.
Stay tuned.
And then we'll have a nice special episode for our year anniversary.
Yeah, we got to figure that out.
Yeah.
What's special?
I don't know. We'll go through some stuff and things and
reminisce.
Yeah. And then we have some news of what we're going to be unveiling for the next year.
Oh, we're gonna have that set up. No, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about hopes and dreams.
Yeah. I think that's it for this week. It's what time now? 3:30 in the morning.
Change.
All right, let's end it.
3:30.
Let's end this. All right. You guys can follow us on Twitter
at CommanderSmiths.
You can send us some messages and emails and all that fun jazz on
CommanderSmiths on Gmail.
I don't know why I did the on part. And then you can go to YouTube, follow, subscribe, like, share our page
at CommanderSmiths.
Oh, that was sexy.
Thank you.
Until next time, we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. See ya. Bye. Oh man.
What do I normally say? I don't even remember.
I don't either.
We're bad at this.
It's like we've been doing this for 50
I
episodes.
know. We've almost done this for a year. What are we doing?